Okay, so that's pretty much the admin for the phages. Let's go up and look at the users here, what we can do. With the users, you can come up and you can enter students' names one at a time. And usually I would suggest, and I see it all different ways, but I would suggest you put in the last name with a comma and then first name, and then a space, and then the middle initial, for example. The reason I suggest you put it in this way is because when we go and we export from here, it goes through the submission. This puts the users in a correct format because there is, as we'll see here in the end, oh, I didn't want to log out. I want to do the other one, export. We can actually export the authors, okay? And it exports them the way you put them in. If that export log is put in the way I just showed you here with the last name, comma, first name, and the middle initial. If there's no middle initial, make sure you put a dot. If you do it that way, then it's all set up and ready to go into DNA Master for the final gene bank generation. It generates the gene bank file. Okay, so I'd suggest you put it in that way. The institution is very critical. You need the institution to be the same institution that you as the person that put in the genome is. Okay, so for example, you come down here, Seton Hill University. If I was the person that had put in the genome and I was from Seton Hill University, let me do this. Then I would want all of my students to have the same institution name. And the reason that is because people that can edit the genome, the only people that can edit the genome are those that are from the same institution. So if your student names are slightly misspelled or misspelled different, they're not going to be able to edit the genome that you put in, okay? So it's critical that you put them the same institution, spelled the same way with the spacing, etc. Put that in. Put in the username. I usually just do lowercase, which is first initial, middle initial, last name. Please don't put in apostrophes or other sorts of things like that, underlines. Please do it very simple. And then you can put in a password. You need to put in the password so it reaches a strength of 4. Okay, so if we start reducing some of these, for example, you see it go down. They needs to be long. They need to be uppercase, lowercase, certainly a number, and then if possible, an at or a something like that. And one of those types of characters are very helpful in helping the strength. We have available to us on your own cloud site here this little file. It's called the user preparation. Okay, so let's open that up. Okay, so here's a file that I can pull off of my registration. For example, I can download the students into a spreadsheet. I can capture maybe this right here. And what I would like to do, or it may be different fields. It may be like this. It may have first name, last name, middle initial, la, la, la. And you can capture them as separate fields. That would be fine. What we need to do is assemble these together into a CSV file that we can put into this mass user add. So you see up here at the top, there's a button that says mass user add. You can choose a file, put it in, bingo, it'll pull them all in together. If you click on the little question mark after the mass user add, it shows you the format that it wants. And what it wants is, this is CSV file is a comma separated file. So each of the fields then are separated by a comma. There's a comma there for this first part, for the username, for the institution. The username, the name here needs to be all in quotes, and it needs to be separated. Last name, comma, first name, comma, middle initial, okay? So that's the way it's set up. And it needs to be in quotes. If you're putting this together in an Excel spreadsheet or another type of spreadsheet, you don't need to put the quotes. Just put all of this with the commas in one field as a text, okay? Still, if you're making the spreadsheet and trying to drag and drop and you've got it separated like this and you want to put it together into this final form here, where it has the last name, comma, first name, comma, and then the middle initial, all in one field. That's what you want for your CSV file. And then your username and then your institution. That's still going to take quite a while to drag and drop that. So let me just point you towards something. And if you need help with this, email me some examples. I'll be happy to set one up for you that you can pour things into. Let's see. For example, if I had them as separate files or as separate columns, and I wanted to assemble them together into this format right here, you can create little scripts. For example, so what this is simply is it's a little function that I've created using the Excel functions. And the Excel function is concatenate. Okay, so what this does is I want to concatenate this B1 and then the next, so I put B1 in here and then comma. Then the next thing I want to concatenate is a comma and a space. So you see I put that in quotes. And then a comma, and then C1 is this first name, and then comma, and then again another space and comma, comma and space, put it in quotes, because it's a piece of text that I wanted added, and then another comma, and then D1. That's what I want linked together. And so it's taken this and this and this, put them together, and bingo, there you are, okay? I did the same thing for the first name or to generate the name here. And I wanted lowercase, so it's still the same way, concatenate. And then I've taken the first name, last name, etc., and pulled it together. The only thing is I've pulled it from this field over here. So that's a little more complex. I'll show you in a second. But you could do the same thing for the username to automatically generate the username for you, just by concatenating those things together. Okay, now if you have something like this that maybe has first name, middle initial, last name, and you want to figure out how to rearrange those, that's where you can actually do this, okay? So I want to get this last name from this field right here, and there's a little function called left that we can do. And so whatever we do is we put in left A1. So here's A1, it'll take this piece of text and it will take from whenever there is a comma space, okay, so you see here's the first comma space right here, and then it takes everything left of that. So to find that comma space, I actually did a search. So this is actually two functions. This is one function where I searched and found the comma space. And the second one is the left, where I took A1 and took everything left of whatever that was -1, that position -1. Okay, so you can get in and look at your helps if you want to learn more about these functions. You can do the same thing with right. I did the same thing, I think, with right here. You can do right and just look at the last couple there. And so that's how you can tease things apart, and then you can put them back together. With the mass user add, it will export a file. It'll show up down here at the bottom. It will also export it to your downloads. So it's, you go to your downloads, wherever that is, and that's where you'll be able to recover that file. What it has then is the username. It has their password, and it has their name. So it has those three things, and it's, again, a comma separated file you can open in a spreadsheet, and you can distribute that then to your students. Okay, questions? Okay, let's get down and take a look at some other things. Again, the search functions are useful. If I just wanted to find all the admins, here we are. There are some super admins. They'll let you do a lot of other things. So as an admin, you can go in and change any of and edit any of the files that you have entered or that are in your school, your institution. Okay, you can go through and edit any of those. And you go in and make these changes you come in and change them physically if you need to. You cannot go and edit pages from other institutions. In order to do that, you need to be a super admin, and that lets us go in and make changes all over from other institutions. So if you ever need that, for example, if you were doing quality checking for other institutions, you may want to ask for a super admin so that you could go in and leave comments for them inside of the genes, for example. Okay, so that's what admins are for. The other thing that you can do in the users is you can come down and change things. So for example, if you had a student and you wanted to come in and edit something here, you could come in and edit. Notice that you can change and edit the name. If you had misspelled something, you can come in and fix it. Okay. You can change the institution. If you've misspelled it or something, you can come in and fix that. You can't change the username. And that's because once they start using this in editing, it attaches it within the database. And that's a permanent record for the student. You can see wherever they have touched. And so we don't let you change that, but you can change roles. If you need to create another administrator, one of your other faculty you want to include, you can do that. Okay. And if somebody has forgot their password, this is where I always get it from students. I forgot my password. Oh, you just come in here. This is where you can come in and change their password. Okay. And you just give them another password. We don't look them up, just change it to something else. And if you need to delete a user, you can come in and delete a user here if you've got duplicates, for example. Okay, when you finish, always push the back. That closes everything out and lets you then come back and finish up.